Okay, folks, just wanting to give you a little bit of a preamble. Actually, I'm just testing again just to see what the stream rate is. My apologies. It's not always a problem at your end, it's a problem at my end, or with George, or with sometimes it's just the technology itself. As far as the Periscope technology, not so great. That's when I'm told by the people that are hearing it at the other end. I usually use live stream, and I haven't been using YouTube very much. So, well, I use it to post videos, not so much to do the live streaming. So sometimes it's just a matter of the stream itself being a problem. So I just want to check this out and see how it is, and make sure that the sound is working. And then when George is, what I'm thinking is that he was talking about 5 o'clock my time, and I think he's actually still doing the other interview. So I probably got that wrong. So I'm thinking it might be more like 8 o'clock, uh, 5 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock his time. So I apologize for that. I hope that I know people are waiting. So I'm going to just check this out, make sure it's working, and get back with you. There you go. Yes, I see that it is actually working, and the stream is pretty healthy. So I will assume that everything is copacetic, and thanks for your patience, you guys. It's not always easy to. It's not so much about using the technology, it's that we're talking about streaming, and it really just depends on the number of people that are, I don't know. It's about bandwidth. It's all about bandwidth. So that's one of the problems, I suppose, with when George was using Periscope. So I don't even know if it's Periscope. In fact, he's got a cell plan that is, just not in effect in some places. I know where I am. There are a lot of dead zones. So depending on where you're going, if you're going underneath a tunnel, or if you're, I don't know, I can't even think. But I know in my area, it really is dependent on the strength of the signal, the time of day. There's a lot of people using the Wi-Fi, the cable. Now, of course, I don't have this hooked in to cable. And if you knew my situation, you would understand a little bit more. But I work out of a mobile studio. So that's one of the things that makes it kind of different from other people's situations. So a little bit like George. No, nothing like George. Okay. Here's the only thing that's the same as George. We have the same kind of sense of going to the places where things are happening. And so as you can see by my surroundings here, I'm assuming, this is actually it's a camper. And I work out of there. And I've got all of, if I could show you all of the different equipment that I've got here, you would probably be quite astounded at how much I can get into this little tiny space. Some people live in tiny houses. I work out of a tiny studio. But one of the great things about that is that we can go right to the locations where things are happening, and we can get interviews with people very, very much on the spot. And hopefully, ironically, most of them are of a good quality. I often do just audio stuff because I've been on radio for quite a few years. Sometimes, however, could hear you. Sorry, I'm just reading your comments as I go. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. So this is me reading your comments. No sound, no video, breaking up. Which one's wife are you? Oh, I'm nobody's wife. I am a friend who is. I am a friend, and I am a journalist, and I think that's cute though. So neither Jason nor George is married. I think that's the situation. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm just testing as far as seeing how good a stream we can get. And again, I'm just kind of letting people know that it's not necessarily going to be great. I prefer to do a recorded interview and then upload it. And from what you saw on Periscope yesterday and what you might be experiencing right now, it could be that it's just a matter of the stream itself. Now, having said that, just gave you the explanation that I do mobile work. I'm actually tapped into someone else's Wi-Fi right now with their permission, but I don't have access to the router. And that's always a problem because I do have a thing about doing things with an Ethernet cable. I prefer to have an Ethernet cable than to do things with Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is incredibly unstable. So that is probably the biggest reason that we're having problems. I do have a Wi-Fi extender, but it's not really that great overall. So my apologies. I'm trying to do this as best I can. I'm going to record it as well, and I'll hopefully be able to put it up as a recorded version so that it's a little bit more watchable, listenable. Meanwhile, for those of you that have just come in, I got it wrong as far as the time because I think George was talking about 5 o'clock Eastern. Sorry, he was talking about 5 o'clock Pacific. I'm on Pacific time. He's on Eastern time. And when we talked about it, he said 5 o'clock. And I made the assumption that that was going to be Eastern time. And he kindly was translating that for me. So I think, from what I understand, he's doing another interview and he will be here at 8 o'clock Eastern time, which means 5 o'clock Pacific time. So that's the scoop. That was my bad, as they say. Now, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm monitoring this on on YouTube, and I need to not do that because I think what's happening is that's absolutely slowing down my bandwidth. So I'm probably going to just make sure that during the interview, I'll do a little check and just check with you guys. So I need the feedback, if things are too slow. And then what I'll do is I'll just turn off my internet, my YouTube connection. I'll close the browser so that it will allow a little bit more in terms of the bandwidth. Now I'm just rambling, but this is all part of the full service that I give you, rambling and all. When can you go to bed? Oh dear, poor busy Lizzie. Okay, so I'm looking at all of your information. Now there's somebody, thanks Lita, I don't trust Webb, be skeptical. Now the thing is that, as he would say, we never want to trust people, ever. We don't want to trust anything that is said by anybody. What we're looking at is metadata. And for those of you that are not aware of that, now let's be kind to one another, because for a lot of us, we've been following George and we've been learning. We've been, and another thing is that I learned from various people. I have become friends with Dr. Judy Wood, and she's taught me a lot about not making assumptions and knowing what we know. And I would say that George's translation of that is metadata. And metadata is where we are looking at real knowable facts. Okay, for anybody that's out there, maybe you can help Lita with that, understanding metadata, because it's I had a very difficult time understanding this at first, but it makes total sense. So if we can see from the Seth Rich murder, if we can take a look at the actual steps that he took through things like he was on a phone call, so there's going to be metadata there. There's going to be information. It's going to ping off of towers. There's going to be a record from the cell company. There's going to be all sorts of things. This is why it's important for people to cooperate with one another. So when you see somebody who's not cooperating, that's the first indication that possibly there's a cover up going on. So they're not covering up in terms of what Rod Wheeler said or this person said or that person